As a child, the coolest thing about Bionicle was just treating them as ordinary toys and building mocks, forgoing the official Bionicle characters and just messing with the pieces to build something original and non-canon. It was a really fun thing I got to experience, and I fondly look back on that time. But of course, there were limitations, and the worst one was not owning infinite LEGO pieces at my disposal. Back then, you could either go out and buy more sets to get the parts you needed, or you'd use the 3D LEGO computer program Digital Designer to make your own LEGO builds digitally on your computer. The only problem with buying parts from me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys as well, was that I had to get my parents to be on board with spending money on LEGO because I was just a kid and didn't have my own money yet. And to make a long story short, they weren't down with it most of the time. And in the case of Digital Designer, the actual existing Bionicle parts catalog for the software was so limited that it kinda sucked to even use it. Mind you, this was way before downloadable custom part packs were even a thing. But even now, I still never use Bricklink Studio because frankly, and this is going to be very hypocritical of me to say, especially based on my YouTube channel history of talking about knockoff LEGO, but it feels so fake to build Bionicle and just LEGO in general digitally. I love the feel of playing with the parts in person, and when you remove that, it just does not feel the same, like, at all. It brings me no joy to build digitally, but I understand it as a concept, and why people use Studio, especially these days, where buying Bionicle, Hero Factory, or just construction sets in an actual big box store is not possible. Not to mention how outrageously priced Bionicle is on the secondhand market like Bricklink. I remember before the great cough of 2020, whatever happened there, you can part out and buy the original 6 Toamata for like $30. And sadly, those days are gone, and kind of like a dragon, I spent the past almost 10 years just buying a ton of cheap Bionicle parts locally and storing those pieces ever since I started making my own money. And in doing so, I have a pretty great amount of Bionicle and other LEGO parts I can use to build with. Now, obviously, I don't have an infinite amount of parts, but I have a pretty great selection of existing pieces to choose from. At worst, I might be missing a part in a certain color, but for mocking at least, I can always order those few pieces I need off Bricklink, or even as of late AliExpress, which seems to really be dipping more into LEGO's part catalog for third-party reproduction. What can I say, I'm always happy to see something take money away from LEGO and actually give them competition. However, since some time in the past year, I have kind of come to the realization that I have just way too many custom Bionicle built, and it's to the point where it's actually making me question whether I'm a fan of the series or just another LEGO hoarder. Now, I'm pretty sure most people would conventionally define a LEGO hoarder as a person who just buys a ton of sets and fills their entire house with LEGO in each room, making sure to never create anything original with those pieces ever. And I'm even sure there are a few people you're thinking of who fit the criteria for this, but we're all gonna be nice and keep those names to ourselves. But despite actually building my own custom stuff, I still feel like a hoarder because, for one thing, most of these mocks I made suck, or at least they look awful to me now. Like, if you go on my Instagram page, which you should totally follow by the way, I have a ton of mocks posted there, and I would go as far to say that more than half of them have aged horribly, but I still keep them built, which is not good to be honest. These are all parts that can be recycled back into my collection or even sold if I really needed to. Another thing is, I built a lot of these custom Bionicle to do stop motion with, and here's the thing, Bionicle kind of sucks to create stop motion with, and because of that, I haven't made a proper stop motion video in many months. Large, rigid ball joints, unconventional weapons, limited posability. Yeah, these things are not for the faint of heart. I can see why Bionicle animators are turning more to Blender and even traditional 2D art for Bionicle storytelling. And despite all of that, I would still like to make another Bionicle stop motion. I just don't need 30 characters for anything of my scale. Plus, I'll wait until I can turn on the AC in my room because if I have to literally sit for a week straight and ruin my back to make a 2-minute stop motion video, they'll only end up ever getting like 500 views in its entire lifetime on a platform that hates artists but rewards AI generated slop again. I want there to be at least an air conditioner on. And finally, a lot of the mocks that I've built are just straight up other people's mocks that I've built my own version of. Pretty much, if you make friends with people in this community, it's customary to build their Bionicle mock as a show of respect. The only thing is, some of these mobs I built are of people I've straight up not talked to in years or am not on speaking terms with, so what is the point of their Lego personas taking up space in my room for? I also want to include the fact that storing so many heavy Bionicle mocks on top of each other in storage like this is terrible, and pieces can literally break so easy. You shouldn't do this at all, or at least not do what I did and just jam a million builds into one storage drawer like this. So yeah, I'm gonna have the pleasure of spending the next few days taking apart these unwanted Bionicle mocks. I'll definitely photograph everything and I'll save what I like. Maybe I'll even post a few photographs to my Instagram, so definitely follow me on there so you can catch those Bionicle mock pictures. I think if there's anything to take away from this video is that if you don't have an attachment to something, don't just let it take up space in your life, and you're better off letting it go. And with that, I really don't have anything else to say. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.